Hey everybody, it's Rod Santomassimo with the Massimo Show. And today we're going to blow you away. I will guarantee it, because today we have the one and truly the only Jeb Blount. Hey, if you're the one person in this world who doesn't know who Jeb is, let me share just a little bit about him. He's been now the best-selling author of 12 books, including some of my favorite: Fanatical Prospecting, Sales EQ, Objections, and most recently, you're going to hear this one, Virtual Selling. You're going to want to hear about that one. He's published hundreds and hundreds of articles. He's been recognized by so many thought leaders as one of the top salespeople, one of the top social selling people. He has, I think, 25 million, somewhere around maybe 26 million downloads on his podcast. He's the man. He's also the leader and CEO of a company called Sales Gravy, by the way, is the #1 sales-specific, most visited, most trafficked website in the world.
Hi, this is Rod Santomassimo, and welcome to The Massimo Show. The objective of The Massimo Show is to share how you can maximize your personal, professional margin. That's right. Let's make more money in less time. Let's turn chaos into clarity, confusion into confidence, and income into real wealth. Along with sharing my insight on how I grew a multi-million-dollar professional business, we're going to bring you the expert advice from a variety of authors, consultants, and thought leaders who will provide the tools you need to maximize your own personal and professional margin. Welcome to The Massimo Show.
Jeb, welcome to The Massimo Show.
It is awesome to be on The Massimo Show. Thank you so much for inviting me. I just need to get you to follow me around and do that. So like when I walk into a room, then you go ahead of me and then you announce me. That would be beautiful.
Hey, you created it. I just repeated it.
I can just see my wife right now. We walk into the house and you do that. I may have to replay this for her and she'll be rolling her eyes.
You shared me earlier that you have a son. Do you have other children besides your son?
I just have one son. He works for Sales Gravy now. He is our marketing leader.
Whenever I tell my kids, like today, this morning, today I got Jeb Blount on my podcast, and they looked at me and said, Dad, people still buy your books and read your stuff. Why? So well, let's get to you, because you're what we're going to talk about. Young Jeb. We always ask this question to everyone. Young you, high school. What were your passions? What you love to do? And how did this create this sales genius? And I apologize, but the sales, how did it create this person?
I loved high school. I got some advice early on, and that was you will want to go back to high school for your entire life. So squeeze everything you can out of it. And I did. So I did everything. I was on the newspaper, on the yearbook. I played sports, soccer, golf, cross country. But I got my start in sales in high school because I joined the yearbook in 11th grade because the yearbook was dominated by girls, and I like girls, and I wanted to be around girls. So I figured I'm going to sign up for this thing. And what I got to do, take some pictures and put some things in a book, hang out with girls. In the spring of my junior year, Mr. Rouse, who was our advisor, gave us ad sheets. It turned out you had to go out and sell ads. Nobody wanted to do. So I got the ad sheet, and she told us what to do, shake hands, whatever. Went down to downtown Harlem, Georgia. And if you drive through Harlem, Georgia and blink, you'll miss it. But I went down to Hall's hardware store. Mr. Hall was behind the counter, walked in, said, Mr. Hall, I'm with Jeb Blount. I'm with the yearbook. Will you buy a yearbook ad from me? He'd been at my house the night before. The thing that I remember, and I will never forget this, is this is back in the days when they wrote checks. So your kids won't even know anything about a check. My kid has no idea what a check is. But he pulled out this big, long checkbook because business checks were long. Personal checks were short. And he strokes this check. And he hands a check to me for a full-page ad. And as soon as he handed it to me, I was hooked. That was sales crack. All I got to do was ask people, they'll give me money. I ended up selling $3,000 worth of ads. The quota was $300. They made me the editor of the yearbook because I also figured out that if you can outsell everybody else, if you can be a rainmaker, people will let you do anything. And I eventually parlayed that into a corporate career where I started at the bottom of the organization, and within 10 years was running the sales team because I was able to outsell everybody on the team.
So would you consider yourself, now you're very charismatic and outgoing with the sports and the yearbook. So were you also a natural salesperson? It just came to you, or did you learn to hone your craft in a certain way.
I think that sales, like any type of endeavor, there's a certain level of talent that you bring to the table. So there are people who, I know your wife is your company CFO. My wife is my company CFO. She's really good at that. That's what she's talented at. She is not talented at selling. I've got a talent for selling, not because I'm really outgoing, because I'm actually an introvert. I don't really do well with big groups of people, but I know how to sell. So I understand strategy. And I think like a chess player when I'm working on a sales deal, and I like the competitiveness of it, and I have a high need for achievement, so I like to win. My entire sales career, I would tell my leaders, look, I don't really care about the money, but I want a trophy. So I'm winning. And when I win, you better, by God, give me a trophy, because I'm going to get on stage and I want to look at everybody and say, I kicked your ass, because that's how I like to live. Maybe charismatic when I want to be, but it's not my normal state. I had that passion. I got lucky because I met two people. One was Mary Gardner. I worked for a company called Nutrisystem. She gave me a break at my early years and gave me a job that I was way underqualified for. And she helped me become a better leader and hone my sales skills. Then Bob Blackwell, who was my first sales manager at a company called Aramark, who was a genius, a strategic genius. Who I am today as a sales professional came from him, but he was like a coach. If you think about, and I wouldn't say, I'm not trying to compare myself to a Michael Jordan, but if you look at Michael Jordan, when he was in high school, he had the talent to be a great basketball player, but he wasn't a great basketball player.
Right.
He became a great basketball player because he had coaches that were able to take that ball of clay and shape it into something that was better. And by the way, this is one of the pieces of advice I give to people. Look, if you can't be coachable, if you're not willing to allow people to give you some feedback, it's going to be really hard for you to grow. Be aware of where you are. Don't start making promises you can't keep, and make sure that if you're walking in to close a deal, you can get the deal closed. So forecasts get better, that type of thing. But I got lucky because I had leaders who kicked me in the rear end and taught me how to sell. So they took raw talent. This is what I'm good at, and I'm really good at this. There's only two things I'm good at: horses and selling. I'm good at nothing else. In both cases, horses and sales, I had good coaches, so I can do both of them.
Yeah, we have a saying, if you're not coachable, just get comfortable, because that's where you're going to be, and be happy with it. That's okay in some cases. But Jeb, so you had great mentors, great coaches, but based on my research, you also decided, maybe it was decided for you, as it was decided for me in 2008, that I was downsized from a corporate job. When did you decide to go from corporate to saying, I got to be my own person?
Same thing that happened to you. We're the Gen Xers that got plowed over. I feel bad for the millennials, because the millennials got it on both sides of this thing, but we just got the worst financial crisis of our lifetime. I grew up listening to my granddad over and over telling us stories about the Great Depression. It never left him. He retired a multimillionaire from not a really high level job because of what happened in the Great Depression. So I had the same thing happen. I had a massive corporate job. I was at top rung of a Fortune 500 company. Private jets, big corner office, 2 assistants, living large, eating the best food, drinking the best wine, really a rock star life. And when the Great Recession happened and everybody had to downsize, and our company in particular, the company I worked for, when people weren't working, they had to downsize quick, and we were the leading edge of that. I had to go find something else to do. I was going to go back into the corporate world. Headhunters were after me. I could have easily gotten another role. And I just realized after an interview for a CEO job on the plane ride back, I didn't want to do that. So I came back and told my wife across the table, I'm going to start a company, and I'm going to use our life savings. One of the hardest conversations I ever had. She believes me now when I say things, but back then she just looked at me, and I could tell that she had faith in me, but it wasn't a lot of faith, which was awful, because like for the first 4 years, every afternoon when she would come home from work, because her job was supporting us while I was building the company, she would say, "What'd you sell today?" I'm like, God, it was just brutal, but it was a risk. I put everything that we had, every dime that we had saved since we were in our early 20s. I met my wife in high school. So we were prom king and queen in high school. So we've been together forever. I met her when she was 14 years old. That's how we do it in Georgia. But it was just one of those things where I believed that if I didn't take the chance, I would never get the chance. And I think that right now, with where we are in our current economy, we're in a recession, we're in the pandemic. I think that this is also going to create another explosion of entrepreneurs, because just like you, my company is a product of the Great Recession. We wouldn't be here had there not been a Great Recession. Had there not been a Great Recession, I probably would have never moved. I would have retired where I was.
The Massimo Group would never exist without the Great Recession. Let's talk about not the Massimo Group, but that name is because it's superlative. Massimo is a superlative, to be great, to be the best. We went through a whole bunch of names. True story, Jim. Once I started a company, one of my first entrepreneurial efforts was a college lacrosse. I was a college lacrosse player, recruiting company. And my partner and I, who's a big guy, we call it Scholastic Lacrosse America, which, by the way, is probably the stupidest name you can ever call it. What the hell does that mean? And so sometimes company names matter. So what was the name of your company when you started?
My original company, it's funny you say that because my original company was the dumbest name ever. It was called Sales Professionals Online. And a friend of mine pointed out to me that it was the dumbest name ever. After I'd already built the website and was going down the road, I was trying to find a name, and it had to be a .com, and just try to go find sales.com, anything like sales blank, just try to find it. And this was in 2007, and there was nothing left there. I was having Thanksgiving dinner, and the waiter came by, poured gravy on my potatoes. We were at Captive Island at Tween Waters having Thanksgiving dinner, and it just hit me, gravy. So sales gravy. At that moment, I thought the entire universe, I swear to you, I'm like, everybody's thinking this right now. They're all going to the register trying to get the name.
So, hold on. So it's Thanksgiving, and you're thinking right now, top of everyone's mind is, I need sales gravy.
I did. So I didn't say anything to anybody. My young son's sitting there. My wife's sitting there. I jump up. And the last thing my wife says, she says, I can see you sprinting across the dirt parking lot. I went to the hotel office. There's this young lady. She's probably 18, 19 years old. She's at the front desk checking people in. I ran around the other side and I elbowed her off the computer and said, I have an emergency. I need to use your computer right now. And to remember, like, people think, why don't you use your laptop? This was 2007. I'm in the middle of nowhere at Captive Island, and it wasn't like there was like Wi-Fi everywhere back then. It just wasn't. So I elbowed her off and I registered salesgravy.com on Thanksgiving Day, that day. And to think about corporate names, to think about this, we have struggled with the name Sales Gravy. We struggled with it for a long time. Do we change our name? Do we do something different? We know it's memorable, but we do a lot of work. And I'm a B2B sales training company. So a lot of my clients are the most prestigious corporate names in the world. I'm dealing with the top level companies. Is Sales Gravy a good corporate name? And finally, it was like, I don't know, 5 years ago, we just said, we're just going to own this. This is who we're going to be. And no one ever forgets us. Like, if you hear the word Sales Gravy, you never, ever forget it. And so we don't have like a fancy sort of a corporate type name. We've got Sales Gravy, and it's working out for us.
As I said earlier, it's the #1 in the world, most visited website for sales specific issues, items, training. So I think the names worked out pretty well for you.
A little bit.
Okay. So look, we take a really short break. We come back. You all want to ask the questions. What about prospecting? What do I say? What do I do? And more importantly, right now, during this pandemic phase, how do I sell today? So we'll be right back with the amazing, incredible Mr. Jeb Blount. Hold on.
This is Rod Santomassimo with the Massimo Show. We always tell our clients, our Massimo members, as we call them, that knowing isn't doing. That's right. They have to actually implement what we share to have the impact and then, yes, the results on their business. Now, my new book titled Don't Kid Yourself, Knowing Isn't Doing, Build the Business and Life You Desire, I share many of our Massimo methods that we apply to our clients, and they in fact achieve the business and the life that they desire. Now, we had a soft launch of our book and an allotted number of copies back in March of 2020. And you know what? It was sold out within 6 hours. So we're really excited to announce our national launch of Knowing Isn't Doing in October 2020. For information about my new book, Knowing Isn't Doing, please visit knowingisn'tdoing.com.
Hey everyone, it's Rod Santomassimo back with Jeb Blount, author of so many books. I'm just going to name a few: Fanatical Prospecting, Sales EQ, Objections, and now, most recently, Virtual Selling. So, Jeb, let's get right into it. You are the King Kamehameha of sales. You're just known as that. You're the man. So, while I have you on the line, I got to ask the questions I know our audience wants to know. First of all, is prospecting dead? Is prospecting the idea of picking up a phone and calling a prospect? And now I got LinkedIn, I got Twitter, I got Facebook, I got DMs. Is the idea of phone prospecting, is that a dead deal? Or you tell me.
It is wide open. The people that tell you that's dead are just people that don't have the courage to pick up the phone and call a stranger. So the truth is that prospecting is alive and kicking, and telephone prospecting in particular. Since 1876, when Alexander Graham Bell made the first phone call, Watson, come here, I need you. It has been the workhorse of selling. It has been the workhorse of virtual selling. And right now, in a world where it's much harder for us to meet with people face to face, the telephone has made a massive resurgence, not for me and not for my team and not for salespeople who get this and know this everywhere, because salespeople who get this have been banging the phone and using the phone because it is the most powerful tool in your sales arsenal. But beautiful as it is, The Guardian, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal were all writing articles about that people were rediscovering the telephone. Like, how are you rediscovering? The thing is in your pocket. It's following you around. Everybody has one. So my focus with people, my message to people is pick up a damn phone. If you got anything, you got a problem, you got an issue, you want to talk to somebody, you want a new customer, you want to sell something, pick up the damn phone. Can you use video? Yep. Can you use text messaging? Yep. Can you use direct messaging? Absolutely. There are so many tools that are available to us, but the telephone allows you to make a very quick connection, have a human-to-human conversation, and to convert that into a next step. There is just no other tool in our toolbox that is better than the phone. And I'll just go back to what I said. The people that are telling you that the phone is dead are people that are afraid to use the phone.
Yeah, but Jeb, I hear you, but come on, you're charismatic, you're confident. You know, it's easy for you, man. It's not easy for other people.
I will give you that I've made enough phone calls that I've created or built as a level of obstacle immunity. So it doesn't faze me to pick up the phone. But let me say this. I get the same level of butterflies that everybody else gets. When the phone is ringing and somebody's about to pick it up, I still feel nervous. I still feel that way. And I've made hundreds of thousands of phone calls, not a few, hundreds of thousands. And I dial every single day with my team. I'm prospect just like everybody else. I sell just like everybody else. I sit in the middle of my sales team and bang the phone with them, and I get told everything else that everybody can say. I just know that the telephone is like sacrifice, and all sacrifice is giving up now what you want for what you want most. The sacrifice for the phone is I have to give up now, which is I don't want to be rejected, and you're going to get rejected for what I want most. I want to build my business. I want to feed my family. I want to add more employees. I want to add to my savings. I want to reach my goals. Not long ago, I wanted to buy a lake house. So I sold a bunch of stuff so I could justify buying a lake house. So I'm able to look past that initial pain. I'm not saying that it's easy. It's not easy. And by the way, I'm not saying that it's fun, because there are some people out there in the world that will tell you they can make prospecting fun. They're a bunch of liars. Prospecting sucks. I don't want to do it. I have to call them. It's not fun. It's not easy. It's a grind. But like anything else, right? You got to grind to shine. You got to put the work in. But the other side of that is a full pipeline. It's a growing business. It's acceleration. And there's one thing we don't really ever talk about. It is self-satisfaction. It is knowing that you put in the hard work that's going to grow your business. And the one thing that I always have when I walk away from a phone block is I feel the buzz of I believe that I did something good. Even if I didn't get anything specific out of that particular phone block, 10 people heard my name. I left my voicemail. I did these things. I did this work. So look, I believe in the telephone, but I want to be clear. I believe in omni-channel. I believe in being able to use every tool at my disposal. Problem is, and I think what you're alluding to when people say there's LinkedIn and there's this and there's this and there's this, what's happening is that people, and this is entrepreneurs in particular, we're becoming asynchronous. Like we just send emails all day long and expect that's going to work. Or we just hang out on LinkedIn all day long and expect that's going to work. If you're an asynchronous seller, you are going to lose. And I promise you're going to lose. If you work for somebody, a robot's going to take your job, because I can hire a robot for $19 an hour to send emails. I don't need you. What I need people to do is talk to other people. And the one thing that I know to be true is the more people you talk to, the more stuff you're going to sell. And the easiest way to talk to people, no matter where we are in the economy, where we are in the world, the easiest way to talk to people is to pick up the damn phone.
I love that. I absolutely agree with that. Okay, so now what happened, Jeb? You get him pumped up. Okay, I'm going to make my calls. And then this questions I get, I'm sure you get, and you're like, here's question number one I get on prospecting. Ready? When's the best time to call?
Oh, I love that question, right? When's the best time to call? Let me explain this question. Could you please let me off the hook? Like, I'm asking you this question, what's the best time to call? And what they really want you to do is go, you could do it on Thursdays at 2:00. Here's the best time to call, first thing in the morning. Think about it like this. As an entrepreneur, you have three choices with your time. You can do things that are trivial, you can do things that are important, and you can do things that are impactful. So trivial is watching cat videos and hanging out on Facebook. Most entrepreneurs are not doing trivial things. What most entrepreneurs are doing, important things, right? So they're looking at their reports, or they're hanging out in the CRM, or they're having a meeting with their team, or they're building policy or building process or serving customers. There's nothing wrong with serving customers. They're doing those things. Impact for a business is growing the business. A business exists to grow. I want to say this one more time. If your business isn't growing, it's dying just a little bit every single day. Anything that makes your business grow is an impactful activity. The most impactful thing that you can do every single day is to put some new opportunities, new customers into your pipeline. Now, I'm not taking away from marketing, right? So you need to have marketing and you need to do lead gen and all those things, but that should be the top of the funnel that's moving things into your prospecting. If the most impactful thing that you can do for your business, talking to people, and by the way, if you're an entrepreneur and you hire salespeople, same thing for them. If the most impactful thing that you can do is prospecting, and oh, by the way, it's the thing that sucks the most, then the thing that you need to do is front load your day with that level of impact so that it gets done. Because if you don't do it, it's not going to get any prettier. It's like eating frogs, right? So if you had to come in the morning and eat a frog, that would suck. But if you let that frog sit there all day long while you make excuses why you're not going to eat the frog, what's the best time to eat a frog, right? By the end of the day, it's going to smell bad, it's going to be slimy, and it's going to be the worst thing you ever did. And what you're going to do is you're going to put it off to the next day. And as you put things off that suck day after day, pretty soon, you just don't do them at all.
Now you convinced me. I got to make the calls. I got to make the time to make the calls. What do I say? You talk about this bridge concept, right? Because look, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, so we talk about bridging or value bridging. So in Fanatical Prospecting, we give you a 5-step framework. Think about it like this. When you're calling someone, you're an interruption. Let's just say you're sitting at your desk and somebody calls you and they interrupt you. You're not happy about that. People don't like to be interrupted. So if you're going to interrupt people, you need to do it well. So it's the 3 Bs, like be brief, be bright, be gone. You pick up the phone, I call you, and I need to give you a relevant reason to meet with me. If I'm calling you to either ask for an appointment or I'm gathering some information, or in some cases, if you're an inbound lead, I may be calling you to engage directly into a sales conversation. But either way, I have to ask for your time. And the because statement or the bridge is where you give me a relevant reason. Now, the thing about prospecting in particular is that prospecting is like horseshoes and hand grenades. In other words, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be close enough. I just need to be good enough to get you to say, okay, I'll give you 15 minutes. Now, the beautiful thing right now, because we're in a space where really people don't want to meet face to face, is it's a lot easier to get people to give you 15 minutes on a video call than it is to give you 15 minutes face to face. You're getting a lot fewer rejection or objections in that situation. So it just sounds like this. I just call a customer up and go, hi, my name is Jeb Blount. I'm with Sales Gravy. The reason I'm calling and set an appointment with you because I help companies win by helping their people do a better job at prospecting and putting new things in the pipeline. I thought you'd like to learn how that works. How about we connect it Thursday at 2:00 for a short video call? Boom. Just like that, 30 seconds. So the thing about building because statements, and I do a deeper dive in this in my new book, Virtual Selling, but the thing about because statements is just step in the prospect's shoes. They're going to give you their time if you're relevant to them in some way, or you connect with them emotionally. Like I can see a lot of people right now during the pandemic, they're really trying to figure out how to do this. And I've been pretty successful in helping people accomplish these things, and I thought you might like to learn how. If I can tap into emotion, I can provide you with some insight. There are 3 trends that are going to be impacting your industry right now. Here's what we need to do. Let's say I'm selling real estate. I can say the reason I'm calling is to set an appointment with you because a lot of people don't know that the home values in your neighborhood have risen 50%, and you could get that money and take it out right now and do it really quickly, and I can show you how. So it could be any of those things. Like I can show you how to do those things, but you have to step into their shoes and build these because statements. And then this is important. Then you have to pick up the phone and use them, because then that's the only way you're going to figure out if the because statement that you created actually works. If you don't go try it, you don't even get a chance to test it.
There's a couple of things here. We have a mutual colleague, Mark Hunter, and he uses this term called commission breath, right? So it's the desperation when you know you're calling because it's all about you. When people have commission breath in that world, the guy we know, what do you do to get to help slap someone in the face and say, dude, this isn't about you?
I call it the universal law of need, but it's desperation. So it's the lack of emotional control. The most powerful emotional foundation for anyone in sales is relaxed, assertive confidence. It is essentially a non-complimentary behavior, the way that most people approach you as a salesperson, because salespeople in particular create anxiety just because you're a salesperson and people like to be sold. So on a prospecting call in particular, it's not that big of a deal. So the whole commission breath thing is much more of an issue when you get into the sales process. So for example, if I called you up and I gave you enough of a reason to give me 15 minutes of your time, and then I get you on the phone or get you on a video call to have a conversation with you, and then I immediately start pitching you. It happens sometimes on prospecting calls when salespeople forget that a prospecting call in particular, with the exception of an inbound lead, is the objective is to set an appointment with someone that you can schedule time to then start learning about them to make a decision whether you want to continue working together through the sales process. That's not that big of a deal. It's harder for people just to get out of their own world and stop sounding like a marketing brochure. And that just takes some practice. That takes your brain to practice on that. But the thing about commission breath or, desperation that causes you to push people away from you, essentially, that is a symptom of an empty pipeline. So I'll give you an example of this. When everything went down in March, and I don't know when this is going to air, but when everything went down in March, you had the same conversation with your wife that I had with you. We talked about it on the pre-show. I immediately relaxed. I'm like, okay, that's good. So when I was as a leader, I was able to go to my team and say, everything's going to be okay. We're fine. We're going to make payroll. Nobody's going to lose their job. Don't worry about anything. We're making a commitment to this. We've got 3-4 years of staying power. We're going to make it through. Not a big deal. But I was still panicking. Like I was panicking a little bit that things would fall apart. We've had the best, like March, April, May, June, and July record months. We set all-time records in our company in the middle of a disaster of an economy.
I think it's so important, Jeb, that people recognize this. But is that because you guys are prospecting the whole damn time?
But we doubled up on our prospecting. Everybody started working hard. The very first thing we did was push the accelerator down. We're going to call people. We called everybody we knew. We pulled every list. We just started calling and talking to people. Like I said, the more people you talk to, the more you're going to sell. The hard thing in that situation was, especially the early days of the pandemic, was not calling up and pitching anything. We had to change our message, and we were working with a lot of companies. So you had to shift your message. If you were in January, I'm like, just set the meeting. At the end of March, I was like, ask them how they're doing. You got to switch. You got to think about who you're calling. But we just talked to a lot of people. On the other side of that, we held our prices. In fact, we raised our prices during May and June because we had so much in our pipeline. This is what I mean about desperation and commission breath. We're better negotiators. I wrote a book called Ink that came after Objections. We're better negotiators because we have emotional control. We're better negotiators because our pipeline is full. My son, who is running our marketing yesterday, said, I don't know what to do with all these leads. He said, I'm overwhelmed. And he's going through the leads and getting them to the salespeople, and he's overwhelmed. And I woke up this morning and more leads came in, and I'm overwhelmed. And like, we're so grateful. I don't want to say anything wrong. The universe has been good to us, and I am deeply grateful that people want to work with us. But the flip side of that is when we enter sales conversations, it's like the expectation is you're going to do business with us. We're not competing for your business. You've already chosen to do business with us. It's not arrogance, but it's about emotional control. Like, we know that tomorrow is going to be okay. We know that we got 10 more customers coming in. We know that. Now, before we go on, and I know you got some other questions, but let me say this to the entrepreneurs that are listening. If you get complacent when you feel this way, like we feel really good right now, we are relaxed, we are assertive, we are confident, and we are closing deals, and we're closing deals at the rates that we need to make the profit that we need to pay our people, and we feel good. We are wide open. The moment that you let yourself feel like that's okay, you lose. I can't allow any person on my team to take their foot off the accelerator. Even my kid, who is saying, I don't know what to do with all these leads. I'm like, you go make more. Go make as many as you can, because best place to be, the easiest way to deal with commission breath is to be picky. I got so much that I can choose what I want. And that helps you build a better business, because now I'm bringing in customers that fit me. And there's a lot of companies right now, people who are listening, you're bringing on bad customers that are going to hurt your company long term because you're desperate for cash flow because you weren't doing this work ahead of time. And right now you think it's okay because you got some money that's paying some bills. Trust me, December, January, February, March, you are going to be living in regret because you have customers that are going to suck the life out of you.
Jeb, I got to tell you, I had a coaching call with a group of mid-career entrepreneurs the other day. committed to them, they'll get to the point in their career, if they do what they need to do, where they're not going to care about a certain client or a certain transaction. All entrepreneurs, I'm sure some of this on this broadcast are smiling, saying, I got there. And so you're right, Jeb. You're not being arrogant. You're not being over Gary. This is where you get to when you have a certain level of success. And yes, when you have a freaking full pipeline, the echoes of a full pipeline are incredible.
It fixes everything. And this is why the pipe is life. You wake up every day, you think about pipe. You go to bed at night, you think about pipe. The pipe is life. The pipe is life. The pipe is everything. You got to pull pipeline. Everybody in your company is better. Your customer service is better. Your profit margins are better because you're a better negotiator. Your customers are better because you pick people who really value you. You also need to create a culture that everybody in your company is responsible for prospecting and sales and putting in things in the pipeline. I don't care if it's the receptionist. My assistant does sales. I don't care how big or care how small, if you did the work. So you create that mindset that our role is to go get new customers. And on the flip side of that, I got an operations team that takes really good care of them because I don't want to lose them once I get them because it's expensive to get them. But it's just like that's everything. And we go back to impact, right? The impact in the organization is growth. So you as an entrepreneur and you as a salesperson and you as the receptionist, every day you got to wake up and the first thing on your mind is how do I make an impact on this business? And the way you make impact is put something into the pipeline and move something through the pipeline.
Okay, Jeb, I know we had a little glitch in the beginning. I know your time's valuable. I promise you no more than 3 questions. You can define how long you go. So let me be a simple question. The last one, by the way, of course, for everyone just the lesson will always be how do people get more of you? Which, by the way, if you guys haven't figured out now, and don't go to salesguru.com yet. We got a few more minutes, but go right after this podcast is over. First one would be, is there a significant difference right now with virtual selling versus February versus now August in the time of recording this? Is there a difference in how we prospect?
No, I don't think from a prospecting standpoint, anything has changed. I think that the messaging has changed. It was shocking to see sales teams, and just for the audience, I work with B2B. I train B2B salespeople. So I'm typically working with a company that has a sales organization. They're selling to other businesses. What was shocking to see is that the companies were still doing the same things that they were doing in February, in April, and May, and March, and in June. And I talked to a massive company, their top leadership, on Thursday, and one of the issues that they were saying is that all our people are in mourning, like they're looking backwards. And I'm like, okay, I get that. I understand it. It's fair. It's human. We've got to figure out a way to get them to get aware that the world isn't going to go back. So from a prospecting standpoint, the channels haven't changed. Pick up the damn phone. There's nothing wrong with sending an email. There's nothing wrong with going on to LinkedIn and sending a direct message. Send a video message if you want to. Those things work really well. All of that was available in January, February, and March, and it's all available right now. That hasn't changed. What has changed is the sales calls. Like the sales calls changed greatly because we're doing more video calls. And I wrote virtual selling specifically to address the issues that people were facing with the shift from face-to-face into a virtual call. And for inside sales organizations that need to adopt video as a way of selling because they can create a better facsimile of a human connection, especially when people are afraid of taking a risk. So when we're in a downturn like this, the biggest issue is risk aversion. So as a salesperson, what you're doing is that when you're working with people as an entrepreneur is that you want people to trust and believe you. It's easier to do that on a video call. But as far as prospecting is concerned, nothing has changed.
I love it. Yeah. Our coaching message to our members, we call them members, Massimo members, was you've gone from transactor to more facilitator resource. And Jeb, would you agree? I mean, maybe not just really sure if you can answer this. Do you think we're still in that resource messaging mode versus transaction mode, or do you think it's gone back?
If you're transacting right now, it's a big problem. And you're exactly right. And transacting is never a good thing. And that's what people with commission breath typically do, right? I'm a transactor. So I just go to you and say, you want to buy, want to buy, want to buy, want to buy, want to buy. And I just try to find enough people that want to buy. On the flip side of that, in the world that we were in, we had so many people coming to us and so little, like we didn't have the manpower to handle what we were getting in. And that was a little harder. And even though I have 23 trainers on my team, like people out there teaching and delivering keynotes, but I'm a limited resource. There's only so much of me that can go around. The rethinking the way we're approaching customers has changed. There's a huge part of our business that is keynote driven. So we go to conferences, we do keynotes. It is a very lucrative part of our business because the profit margins on that are astronomical. Right. And we get top dollars for that. And that we've earned that along the way. There's been a lot of work to get to that place. Well, that business is essentially gone. Now we're doing virtual keynotes, but we're not nearly in the same neighborhood of dollars that we got for a conference where 6,000 people are going to be there, and you're a rounding error on the budget. Right now, you're the biggest line item on the budget in a virtual conference. You're the most money they're spending. We had to rethink the way we do keynotes. We brought an entire production crew in to do that. We're doing some incredible things with keynotes, but we also had to start thinking about, are we having better conversations with our customers? Are we truly understanding what they want? And we had to shift. Like, we have shifted the entire focus of our organization from a half keynote, half conference, that type of a business, to half training and then some consulting, to almost all training, a little bit of consulting. The consulting starting to move back up now because people have got problems that they want to fix. But that requires a different level of focus. And I love what you said. We're not transacting, we're facilitating. We're not transacting, we're listening to people and really diving deep and trying to understand them and their problems. And I think more than anything, you have to build trust, because there's a lot of businesses out there that you run a company and you're serving them, and they say, I'm going to give you money, or I'm going to let you run this project for me, or I'm going to spend money with you. They're putting a lot at risk to do that because there's a whole lot of things happening to them. You have to be able to demonstrate that level of trust. And that's why I do go back to prospecting, because if you've got a full pipeline, if you're doing all those things, you can pick the right customers that are going to be able to fit that model, right? So if they come to and want to transact with you, that's not an easy thing either. And you also calm down, slow down, and start really thinking about, what am I doing that is going to serve this customer the right way? And to me, there's nothing more important than that right now. My job, your job, is to help people win.
Jeb, I got one last question for you before we close out. My goal of reading every book, this is my goal, every book I read, if I can get one sentence out of a certain book that I can impact in my business and changes the trajectory of my business, it was worth the hours to read the book and the tiny investment. I read a book once, I think the name was Hyper Sales Growth. I think that's correct. We give credit where credit's due. Jack Daly, I think. Yeah. In that book, he didn't write this way, but there's one sentence that said, if you don't have an admin, you are one. And I realized, oh crap, I'm a freaking admin. Then next thing I went from one person, today now we have 40 people, right? And by the way, he was right, because now I went from $10 an hour work, looks like you, to $1,000 an hour work. So that was great. But in your book, it really wasn't one sentence. And for me, particularly in financial prospecting, there was so much things that changed the directory. But there was an 11-word sentence that you said would change your life. So, Jeb, let's close out with changing our audience's life. And I hope you remember the 11-word sentence.
When it is time to go home, make one more call. I remember the words are sewn into all my clothes. Like, it has one more call on it, everything. It goes back to that. It's a discipline message.
Let's hear that. So I'm going to go slow. Give me that 11-word sentence.
When it is time to go home, make one more call. That to me is giving up what I want now to quit for what I want most. So when I'm tired, when I'm hungry, when I just can't do anymore, when I think I can't have one more person tell me no, I can't talk to one more client, whatever the case is, when I'm at that place, I've just over the years trained my brain to say, okay, I'm going to do one more. And it's amazing what happens. I have millions of dollars in sales because of one more call.
God bless it, man. That's awesome, Jeb. The incredible, incomparable Mr. Jeb Blount. Hey, Jeb, salesgravy.com. Absolutely everyone needs to go there. Anywhere else to get more Jeb?
Yeah, you go to, if you want to watch videos on YouTube /salesgravy, I've got 500 videos on there. We're adding more regularly. My podcast, Sales Gravy, so you can go there. Thousands of articles. I think the last time I looked, there were 2,000 articles on salesgravy.com from a lot of the greatest minds in sales. So Mark Hunter, for example, we mentioned him. We have his articles on Sales Gravy. And then connect with me on Twitter @SalesGravy, Instagram @SalesGravy. I'm on Facebook in a couple of different iterations, and you can always follow me on LinkedIn. So just click the little follow button, and then we're posting stuff all the time.
See, folks, so maybe, just maybe, next holiday season, you'll be sitting there thinking, I got a name for my company, and it too will change your life. Jeb, I can't thank you enough. To our audience, you know what I always say is what it is. Jeb has given you so much knowledge today. It is absolutely incredible what he shared with you. But you know what? It doesn't mean a thing, because knowing isn't doing. So please go out there and apply what you learned and see your life change going forward. Until next time, this is Rod Santomassimo with The Massimo Show.
I want to thank you for listening to this version of the Massimo Show. And please go out and share this with your friends, your colleagues. Heck, share it with your dog. Just share it. And more importantly, just give me some feedback, good, bad, or indifferent. We all grow from understanding what our audience wants to hear. So until next time, this is Rod Santomassimo with the Massimo Show. Hi, this is Rod Santomassimo, president and founder of the Massimo Group. And did you know that for over the past 11 plus years, we've worked with thousands of independent contractors, solopreneurs, and small business owners just like you in repositioning their and/or their team's efforts so they can build the personal, professional practice they've always dreamed of. We provide coaching programs for all levels of experience, earnings, and yes, success. So if you're finally ready to get off that transaction treadmill and chasing deals that are growing nowhere and start building the personal, professional business and life consisting of greater wealth and more time, check us out at massimo.coach. That's MASSIMO.coach.